sounded really nice. All right, guys, today we are going to be moving the Camaro into the actual garage and putting Jerry over in the shed part of the garage. That way I can go ahead and run some of that diagnostic testing on the transmission because it's not shifting, so we don't know why, and we're going to try to find out first before we just pull it. That way we can possibly fix it if we need to, or at least try to fix it. You know, it's usually our goal is to try to fix things and not break them, but it doesn't always happen that way. But yeah, so it's a nice, beautiful Ohio winter day with rain and sleet, so we decided to move cars. The Camaro should start right up and then back out. Hopefully Jerry's going to be another thing to move around, but I want to go ahead and get the Camaro over into the regular garage so we can test out a few things, get it up on jack stands, and start pulling the engine. All right, guys, we're in the Camaro. We're gonna see if it'll start up and back out of the shed, and I'm gonna go park it, and then we'll move Jerry over to the shed and then pull us in the garage. But let's see if it starts. It's been cold. It's been sitting a couple weeks since we got it from the storage unit, so hopefully the battery still lasts. So let's see. Fuel pump did kick on. It's in park. Well, fired right up. Ahead and move this thing back up. Don't exactly have a lot of room, but seems to be making it. The zip tied throttle cable is still holding up, so that's good. A little icy out. Well, that seemed to work all right. Definitely a little slippery. Oh, I think I'm stuck. All right, let's go move Jerry. See what I mean by how much lighter this is? Push.
That's good for it.
All right, well, we got the Camaro in the garage now. Jerry's back over in the shed side where the Camaro was. Go ahead and show you guys how much room we got over there now to kind of work. It's about the same amount of room. I mean, Jerry's a little longer. It's not as good of a light over here, so that's why it's kind of dark, but it's a little bit longer, but it still fits, and we can still do some floor work and some wiring, probably just a few things here and there. We can't do as much as probably want to, but it's kind of the trade-off between putting the cars over here on the garage side and putting them on in the shed, but much better than taking them to the storage unit. Like we said before, it's like all in all it takes like 2 hours to do that, so way better. That didn't really take that long. We kind of, you know, took a little longer just because that was like the first time we've done it. So, and it does make it nicer that the Camaro is running, but yeah, we got it in here. I wanted to go ahead and open up the hood. A little reminder what the Camaro LS looks like. You know, there it is in all its glory. Wiring kind of mayhem right now. We still have a lot of cleanup on that, but I was waiting on that to do once we pulled the engine back out. And that's what we're going to be doing now that it's back over here. I did want to test a few more things, like I said, on the transmission. Make sure we're getting good power, and that it is probably the transmission problem why it's not shifting, which is fine. We can kind of diagnose that once we pull it apart. But yeah, our zip tie throttle cable and no sensors hooked up is going to go bye-bye. We're going to pull this motor. We're going to put new oil pan on it, flip the headers, and get ready for the turbo kit. Start cleaning up all the wiring and some of the firewall stuff. And yeah, this is kind of mock-up stage, and what we're going to be moving on to is final assembly. All right, as you can see, we got the car lifted up on jack stands, and pretty much as high off the ground as we really can, or that we really need. But yeah, I wanted to, before we start pulling everything off, I'm going to track down, see if there's an issue with the wiring on the transmission, and kind of follow that. Back here, the wiring goes down and behind the engine, down to the transmission. I'm hoping that it's probably maybe not a power issue, but maybe I didn't get a good ground on the ground side of the wiring, because I'm pretty sure I hooked up the power correctly and everything, so I'm pretty sure it's the ground. So what I'm going to do is just pull the plug on the transmission and then see if I can get power using the ground on the plug as well, and that'll let me know if it's grounded correctly. I can do a couple ohm testing and stuff to see if there's continuity, or I mean continuity testing on some grounds that I have, and see if it's connected. So that's what I'm going to do, but I needed to get it jacked up so I can pull the plug from underneath. It's pretty dark, you're probably not going to be able to see, obviously. But yeah, grab my phone light here. We'll get up underneath there. Here's the transmission, obviously. As you can see, I just have the cooler lines looped right now. You can see, look how bad the pan was rubbing when we were going on drive. Gosh, it's already ground down pretty good. That is why we are changing the pan. Oh man, the front of it's pretty bad. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this plug real quick, and then yeah, we'll test it up top. All right, well, I got it unplugged and then pulled the wiring up from back behind, and here's the transmission plug. So what I'm going to do is test the power wire and the ground wire and see if I'm getting 12 volts back here when the car's on. And yeah, we'll see if that works. I'll also test, if I'm not getting 12 volts, what I'll do is I'll also test 12 volt to like a ground just on the car and see if I get 12 volts then. Then I'll know if I'm getting 12 volts or not, or if my ground is good. That's how I'll know. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my electrical tester, and then I'll set you up and we can see if that works. All right, guys, what I did really quick is on the plug, I went ahead and put like a little auxiliary wire in for the 12 volt source on the trans plug. There actually isn't a ground source on the plug itself. I think it's just grounded through the transmission. So I might have to ground the engine better. That might be my issue. I don't have a block ground yet to like the firewall, so I'm holding out. That might be an issue too. But yeah, I have my tester out. You can see here, 0. I'm gonna go ahead and hook power up here, and then find the ground. And actually, I have to turn the car on really quick. Hold on one second. Okay, so I got the car turned on, and I went ahead and set up this little alligator clip on that wire going into the plug to my positive lead. That way, since I'm by myself, I can take the negative lead on the tester and touch a ground and see if I can get some voltage. I'll just go straight to the battery right here and then see if I can get some volts. What do we got? We have no volts. All right, well, guess that's our problem. We are not getting power to the transmission. That's why it's not shifting. So that's good. Now I need to figure out if I messed up the wiring. There's one more pink wire in the plug. I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. Let's see here. Real quick. There's another pink plug 4N on this side. Let's test that one really quick. Make sure I didn't actually screw up the wiring. Nope. Still nothing on that. So let's go ahead and trace back the wire where I have it plugged in over here on this side, the power, and then we'll take a look at that. All right, guys, well, I went ahead and changed up a little bit of wiring over here, redid a few things, still kind of mock-up, but I have it back hooked up. And then I got the meter on, and then I went ahead and connected it to ground. And you can see it runs 11.6 volts now on the plug. So what I'm hoping is that actually has power to the transmission and it shifts. We're still going to have to do some testing. I think we'll leave it up on jack stands, maybe run it through the gears and see if it actually works real quick. So we'll do that test. I'm going to go ahead and kind of put this plug back through down the firewall and then plug it back in, then we can maybe see if it'll work. All right, well, I got the transmission plugged back in. I went ahead and cracked the door a little bit. And I'm gonna fire this thing up and put it in gear and see if I can hear it shift. So yeah, we'll see. It's running. Step on the brake here. It's in drive. I honestly can't tell if it shifted at all. I think it shifted into second when I downshifted down like I was before on the road. So I'm not sure anything's really changed as far as power. Still gonna have to do a little bit of diagnosing on this thing and see if the might be a solenoid problem, I think, maybe, but I'm not exactly sure. We'll keep working at it and get back to you. All right, so like in the last couple, it still wasn't shifting correctly, but we kind of had a revelation here in our wiring situation. We know now that it's getting power to the plug on the transmission, but we kind of were just like, oh yeah, that speedometer plug that goes to the speed sensor on the back of the transmission, we actually don't have it plugged in. And it's never been plugged in. It's been too short, and our idiot minds were still like, oh, whatever, it's just for the speedometer. But we actually now think it's a speed sensor for the shift solenoid, so that it actually knows when to shift and not to shift. So kind of our first, real playing around with the electronically controlled 4L60 and 4L80 stuff. So yeah, we're gonna throw a couple wires on it to lengthen it and then get it plugged in, and we're pretty much certain that's actually gonna solve the problem, which is, I don't know, par for the course is how we're learning everything. So yeah, we're gonna throw some more wires on that and then plug it in and then try running it again and see if it'll actually shift. All right, guys. Well, I just got that speed sensor plugged in. I lengthened the wires on the transmission, and now it should shift. I'm gonna go ahead and fire it up and see if it does actually shift and go into all the gears, and that'll probably let us know that that actually was the problem, which we think it is, but at this point, who knows until it actually is fixed. So we'll go ahead and fire it up, put it into gear, and then we will see. Turn the fuel on. If you can actually see that, but or hear it in the rear end, but shut that off. I don't know if you could hear it, but actually just went in, shifted on its own in drive into second and into third. That's super exciting. All along it was that rear speed sensor not being plugged in, which, I don't know, makes me happy that we figured it out. It didn't take too long to really diagnose and just kind of think about it once we were actually just focusing on that alone. Still have to change oil pan because we still can't drive it around. I wish I could actually take this thing for a drive and it actually shift. But the oil pan is just too close. It just bounces off of everything. But we got the shift in drive, and pretty excited. It's going to go ahead and close this video out. I know in this we kind of switched around a few things and then did a little bit of diagnosing on the 4L60 in this thing. And next video will be starting to pull everything apart to pull the motor. I think we're just going to leave the transmission inside the car now, especially now that it all works just fine. So we're going to leave that in, just pull the motor, and then we'll get the oil pan changed out, get the drain plug on the new oil pan for the turbo return, and then stab it back in the car and start making a turbo kit. But yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a like, give us a comment, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.